Hey everyone, welcome to Sunrise Extra. I was telling the director, can you flip the teleprompter so I can see Drew and Rob? There!
Oh.
I know everyone else can see us.
I was scratching my face.
I know, we weren't ready. Good morning, happy Friday. Boy, has it been a long week. And there was big news made yesterday in all of the schools in the city of Portland. So Portland Public Schools, Park Rose, and David Douglas school districts have all decided to get rid of school resource officers patrolling on campus. School resource officers, aka Portland police officers. The superintendent deciding to sever that relationship. Of course, police will still respond, you know, if there is a 911 call from school. And so we put out the question on Facebook, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about police officers in schools? As always, Sunrise Extra is wonderful because we get to read your comments live, and as this, you know, goes out on social media throughout the day, we get lots more comments. So weigh in. We love chatting with you guys. Let's read a few of them to kind of spark thinking, and you guys can kind of weigh in. So this person on Facebook saying, I work in a PPS middle school, and the only time we see an officer is when we call, so I see nothing different due to the decision. They aren't fostering relationships with our students. Other people saying the applicable adage is, when seconds matter, police are minutes away. How many lives of students and faculty are PPB willing to surrender? Which student or faculty will volunteer to be first? Dane says, so glad I don't have kids in school. What an idiotic move. Just made kids in schools less safe. Even 30 years ago when I was in a Portland public school, resource officers made us safer. We had less instances of kids bringing guns to school. This move will cost lives, or at the very least the ability for some students to be successful. Let's read a couple more. James saying to the superintendent, thank you. Protesting works. Do not stop. Another person, Pasta Man, I like that. I go to a Portland public school. We don't need 3 cops in our school. Contrary to what you may think, it is not utter mayhem. And one more from Tanner saying, good. Police in schools routinely make for a miserable experience for anyone that isn't white. Seeing the way that police behave, I wouldn't trust them to be anywhere near kids. So, what do you guys think? Let us know. We're already getting people saying good morning. Terrell Davis, good morning, Paula,
Yes.
Fresh Hour. Good morning, Rob St. Helens.
Yes, 3 of our favorites right off the bat saying good morning, and people are starting to chime in now. There's going to be a lot of great points. I don't know if I want to jump right into this. I was just going to mention before I jump into the comments, Nina, that what we try to tackle, you, myself, Rodney there in Vancouver, big picture topic this week, right? That is bigger than Portland. It's really a worldwide topic. But now we have a very specific topic that we can talk about that has only come about really because of what we've seen this week or in our city, around the country, and we've been asking for change. All the protests we've been seeing this week, the whole message is let's have change. So we're going to see change, I would imagine, in many different ways. Now the question is, are the changes we make for the good or for the not good? And if you look at our poll this morning, you're seeing that most of the viewers, the 67% at this point anyway, say they don't agree with this decision. They say this is not a change for the better. So that's really what it comes down to. This change is being made. We want to know where you stand on it. Is it a good one? Is it not? And it was hard for me to really think about what to say on this topic. I never went to a school where there was an officer there during the school day. My kids don't go to a school where there is an officer there during the school day. But I would love to hear from people who've either gone to schools like that, have kids in schools like that, because really they're going to have the opinions that matter this morning. Dawn Kimlinger weighs in, as she has so often done over the course of the last year here during Sunrise Extra. She says she too is struggling to process the decision. She says she worries about opportunistic school shootings, knowing there is nobody there to protect in seconds, which is sometimes what is needed. She says, but she also gets the reasoning behind it, and she says part of it is finances too, right? Could be some financial reasons behind this decision.
There might. I don't think that
no, that is not
nearly 100% don't think that is the issue. It is the protests and the marches, and a lot of people have been asking for this move for years. Of course, you know, the other half of people have not. Alicia Goss weighed in on our Facebook post from about an hour ago this morning. She says, personally, I have a family member that works in a very rough school and has a knife pulled on him multiple times. I would prefer them to leave resource officers in the school. I went to a high school that had them and feel they are great when needed. and lots of students had a great bond with them. So let's put some context to this news story. This is one of our most clicked on KGW right now. Instead of police officers actually patrolling the schools, they're going to bring in more counselors, more social workers, more like cultural leaders who can actually kind of talk to kids instead of, a badge. And because we've heard now so many stories over the past 10 days and really for decades and years of, people of color feeling really uncomfortable and not safe themselves when they see a police officer because of, just so many things that have happened to them. So a lot of people are really applauding this decision. I also didn't go to a school that had a resource officer inside, so I don't know how I would feel about it.
We have two problems, though, kind of clashing right now because people want to see this change. But geez, before the last couple of weeks, and maybe we should have been talking about this, the racial injustices in this country long before last Monday, of course. But a topic we have covered for years, the growing violence in schools around the country, right here in our area. In fact, it's to the point where people are even confusing different situations within our own school district this morning on the feed because someone chimed in saying, I have to pull it up here again, but saying, didn't a resource officer stop a school shooting at Reynolds High School a few years ago? And then someone else responded, no, I think that was an unarmed security officer that did that by hugging the student. But no, that was Park Rose High School. So there's so many of these instances. Yeah. And we have seen this problem growing. It's a problem in America. It may not be as big as the racial injustice problem. I'm going to say right now, it's not. You can't put nothing compares to that 400-year-old problem, that issue that we're tackling right now. But school violence is a problem in this country. And that's why the officers were brought in the first place. And it's not just about school shootings. Didn't Kristen Severance, before she launched Inside Woodlawn, she did a whole special on disruptions in the classroom and how even at the young levels, in the young grades, there is some just disruptive behavior. Now, you don't need a police officer who's armed to stop the bad behavior by a third grader. I get that, but the violence escalates as the kids get older, and sometimes it is too much for teachers to handle in the school. They need someone else to back them up.
And that's why I think a lot of people are applauding the decision because it's a lot of mental health and it's a lot of environmental stress that we're all kind of going through now with just life these days. And so I think a lot of people are hoping these counselors and social workers who really know how to kind of get into the thinking and the mind and change behaviors before these outbursts, the classrooms in crisis type thing happens. Rod, weigh in. What do you think? What do you hear?
Well, one thing I think, one of the important lessons to me that I'm absorbing from this week is that it's going to be so important moving forward to have discussions. And that means don't just take the quick headline or the first thing you hear on any topic and just jump to your own conclusion. Take a second, sit back, listen to what everybody's saying. And in this case, part of the message from Mayor Wheeler and from the superintendent of Portland Public as well was that they were going to use this as an opportunity to take the money, that apparently there was some money that was involved in keeping police officers around the schools, and put that into other programs with the intention of funding programs that would help maybe equalize the learning opportunity for people of color and all of our students in Portland Public. So, let's see where this goes before you start going, oh, this is a crazy idea. Or maybe you're on the other side of the fence. You think it's a good idea. But, at the end of the day, if we are talking about funding new programs that would maybe help put everybody, all of our children on the same playing field with the opportunity to learn, then I think that would be a good thing. Because that is also a huge problem. I said it earlier in the week. I get to go out and have the teacher say, Mr. Hill's here to teach weather. And let me tell you, schools in this part of town in second grade and schools in this part of town in second grade, the kids are not at the same level. And in a perfect world, it would be identical. So I can tell you this, there absolutely is the need to take resources from somewhere. And I don't know if we're talking about more tutoring, I don't know what we're talking about. But all kids in the second grade in our area need to be at the same level of education, in my opinion, and the same level when they're in fourth grade, the same level when they're in seventh grade, to move forward, to have the opportunities equal throughout their lives. So
I would
we'll
say
see
that's
where
a
this
good
goes
idea,
in terms
Rod.
of using resources.
But we're not even, honestly, that doesn't even happen in individual classrooms. Kids aren't at the same level. I mean, they try to put them, but sometimes classrooms have to slow down, right, for the back end of the classroom, which is fine. You want to bring up the bottom. You don't want to leave them behind. But it's hard to find equality even in a singular classroom, let alone every school district from here to Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it is. And you've got, are the parents at home well educated to the point they're able to help their kids with their schoolwork? What are the priorities? But let me tell you, when the problem is very identifiable that this whole school is not where this whole school is, when you take them as a whole, there's an issue. And I've seen this in, what have I worked in, 7, 8 cities around the country, from the Midwest to the West Coast, and it is a problem.
And a lot of it, what you were kind of talking about, is tied to how they're funded. I mean, it's tied to property taxes, and if you're getting property taxes from a wealthy part of the city or the metro area, you're going to have better paid teachers, you're going to have better staff, you're going to have better tutors. And if you're taking property taxes from a poor area, you're going to see the repercussions from that. And so there's a lot of discussion specifically right now of untying those two from property taxes in those districts. But you brought up Mayor Ted Wheeler, and he was on live with us last night at 7 o'clock for a whole half hour in a new program where we've been trying to kind of fill the 7 p.m. show in light of all of this stuff, and it's called A Community Conversation. Here's what he said about pulling those school resource officers out.
First of all, our community's spoken, and they've said quite clearly it's time to redirect dollars that would otherwise go towards putting officers in schools to programs that help our Black children to grow and thrive. And I made a commitment to listen and to act. And this week it was abundantly clear that the first step we needed to take that could be done immediately was this. So we acted urgently and we acted swiftly. And of course, this is also being done in concert with the school districts in the Portland area. And in terms of who will continue this work, it's obviously going to...
Okay, so a lot of you guys weighing in this morning.
I've got a comment right here as you're looking. It's Tima, T-I-M-A Carlson. She says having school resource officers in high school is necessary in her opinion, and here's why she says that. She says multiple times in her school district, and it's not Portland Public, she says, they have had de-escalated situations because of the officers that were in the school. For elementary and middle school, she goes on to say having them involved at assemblies, having them involved with assemblies is a good idea because kids are not scared of police that way. Police are there to help the community, and they need to be seen as such. I don't know what school district that is, but she's saying absolutely she has found it necessary and helpful in her school district.
Let's see. Someone asking, where's Brenda? Brenda is just off today. She's enjoying a night. She has a 4-day weekend, actually, and I'm quite jealous. She'll be back on Tuesday.
Someone else that we used to work with this week, believe it or not, Rod and Nina, someone with knowledge of the business said to me, did Brenda quit?
No.
I go, what?
She was here all
Why?
week.
And he goes, well, I didn't see her on the show today. I said, really? She doesn't show up one day and you think the woman quit after 30 years?
Gabriella Dark, good morning, Gabriella. Thank you for weighing in. She says, if I see an armed officer in school, that makes me nervous. And I'm white. I don't want to talk to cops. I don't want an officer to come into a classroom and remove a student. She went to U of O. She says there's cops all over campus. That makes her nervous, and that doesn't make me feel safe. Terry Hogenkamp, good morning. Thank you for weighing in. She says, we didn't have resource officers when I was in school, but her daughter did.
This is a tough one, Nina. You better slow down.
The officer blamed her for being sexually assaulted, then told the guy who assaulted her she got beat up the rest of the semester.
I mean,
I had to put her in a different school.
That's a terrible story. And we've heard from Terry a lot on Sunrise Extra.
Yeah.
So there's a case that she's bringing up that we're clearly the resource officer that she's referring to in her story would be doing the exact opposite of what a resource officer is supposed to do.
Another person, Virgil, thank you for weighing in. He says, you know how we were talking about, so the police are getting out of the schools, but they're going to bring in counselors and social workers and cultural leaders. Well, he says, social workers have got a negative image in the community as well, but they are needed in the schools as a supportive resource. So yeah, when you think of social worker, you think, somebody's that going to take a child from a home or something like that. But I like Rod's point of view of like, let's try it and see what happens, I mean, we can always bring them back in if needed, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of, changes that we're going to see nationwide in police departments. President Obama did a live Zoom chat with the nation, basically, and he started a petition on obama.org to have mayors and city councils all across the country sign this petition to change their police use of force guidelines and really hold officers accountable and make that information public when there is a complaint or an incident. So Mayor Ted Wheeler did sign that, I saw. Let's see. Go ahead.
We're going to have a situation here in terms of school funding later this year. We've already heard from our school district about how much, I guess, money they lost this year during the pandemic and how they'll have to cut back on various programs moving forward for next school year. So you kind of have that in the back of your head as we're having this discussion about we need to fund schools, right? Mm-hmm. So how's that going to happen? But Gabriella here says we should be defunding this police idea in schools, reallocating the money to fund programs for diverse communities, sort of along the lines of what you were suggesting, Rod, that at least something that should be tried, that we can at least explore. Fund your teachers, she says, fund your health therapists, fund your schools. Yeah. Gabriella.
How are you guys doing this week?
You
I was just checking in, just getting a mental check-in. Rod, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was, to me, this whole week, and again, I know we're talking about schools in particular right now, but everything's tied into everything, right? And this whole week is about listening, examining what's in your own heart, examining maybe the biases that you grew up with for whatever reason, and how you can change those biases, and the fact that this should be a pivoting point of moving forward. And I'm going to bring back just for a moment one of the disturbing things about the video that we showed from the police officers in Buffalo.
Oh, geez, yeah.
I know.
And
it's awful.
I think that's, I know, but here's what was really disturbing, and I know Nina mentioned this too when she was watching it. It was the fact that you had a police officer push a man, and there was one officer that briefly stopped and almost started to kneel down. Mm-hmm. I assume, presumed to see if the guy was okay. And what looked to be his superior said, "No, you got to move along."
Yeah,
and then you saw all of a sudden other officers kind of pausing, but you could tell that it seemed to me that their superiors are saying, "No, you can't stop and help that gentleman. You can't stop and wonder what just happened.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to keep moving on." I'm like, for crying out loud, isn't that an illustration of what so many people have made a point about this week? You can't be silent anymore. Yeah. At whatever risk to yourself, you've got to take a moment and go, "This isn't right.
Right.
This stops with me right here."
Right.
And that was the illustration that, what we're talking about. Anyway,
and I think it is also part of that.
How disturbing that
President Obama's petition and pledge to change within police departments is if you see your colleague or your, police partner or someone that you work with do something, you have to speak up or stop it, or you're complicit. And that's what we saw with these charges, in Minneapolis, the aiding and abetting of the second-degree murder. But that man who's 75, that video just made me icky last night when I watched it. He's in serious condition this morning. So you're going to be seeing that all over your social media feeds right now. Rob St. Helen saying, yes, Rod, I saw that as well. Let's see. We're kind of reading through the comments, but a lot of people saying we got to address mental health issues as well in our schools. So you guys, what a week.
No, I've had 1,000 thoughts in the last 30 seconds, and I keep thinking, do I want to go down that road here with this few minutes we have left in our show? Do I want to go here? Do I want to go there? But I was even saying, Rod, in return, just since you brought it up, and now it's in my head, that video from Buffalo. And just to play the absolute devil's advocate, you never know what's happening in these scenarios or these scenes before that camera starts rolling, right? We catch it at the moment that it's first shown on. And I'm thinking, maybe was there something said? Did he walk up and say something to the officer? Who knows what was in his hand? All this business. But that doesn't matter because once the officers did what maybe they thought they needed to do, get out of our way, we're doing our work here. I don't know if their push was intended to knock him down the ground. It didn't seem like they pushed him that hard, but for goodness sakes, he's 75 years old and he was walking backwards, so he went down. All of that doesn't matter because at that moment when he hits the ground and he's freaking bleeding, and someone is there to help him because the man started to go down to, like you said, at least see what the heck's going on, and then he was pulled back up and kept moving. That's where That's the worst video I've seen this morning because of that moment right there where there's someone on the ground. I don't care what he did leading up to it. You've got him down. He's not going to hurt you now. He's bleeding out of his head. And they just kept on walking. So now I have that image, yes, Rod, stuck in my head, and I cannot move forward with Sunrise Extra because I can't get that out of my head now.
Yeah. We got a new Sunrise Extra viewer alert. Christian Loring on Facebook. He says, why is this not live on TV? I could only find it online. That's because we only live online with Sunrise Extra. It's our special streaming live, unscripted after show where we talk about these issues, and we love seeing your names, shouting you out, and reading your comments. So
we're negotiating a deal to get this on television. Right now, the three of us are asking for $1 million each, and that's a sticking point. So we remain online for the time being.
Yeah. You guys, we hope that you have a safe weekend. Rod, give us a quick weather forecast to send us off on this Friday.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, if you're a lawn mower like I am, be a professional of your own yard, get that stuff done today. The showers start first thing tomorrow morning for sure, and the rain will be heavy at times tomorrow. I think Sunday maybe not quite as crazy as tomorrow looks to be, guys.
What else you want to do, Nene? You want to do a traffic report?
Nah.
Good enough?
Just want to think about Friday, you know?
I know. I'll tell you something about this Friday that's different from others. The story that we've been covering all week, it's not going to stop because it's Friday, right? We know that this will continue on through the weekend. We'll continue to cover it here on KHW.com on all of our newscasts, beginning our next live newscast, of course, at noon. It's been a fun week working with all of you. Brenda, I know, is still off on Monday, but she will be back on Tuesday of next week.
She's still here. Yes, we'll see you guys on Monday.
I'm off Monday.
You're off Monday.
All right,
you,
we'll
buddy.
see you guys next week.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in.